Brian Kaplan. I'm editor of the Banker magazine. I'm here at Davos with Ibrahim Dabdoub, who's the chief executive of National Bank of Kuwait and also a leading light in the Institute of International Finance. So Ibrahim, what are your impressions as to the most important issues that are occupying the delegates here at Davos this year?
Well, it's the post global crisis, and what are the implications basically? Will we have more asset bubbles in some parts of the world? Will we have a good sustainable recovery as far as the global economy is concerned? And most importantly, in my opinion, is the debt threat. Really, I mean, the global debt is becoming. I mean, the debt to GDP in the United States is becoming really ridiculous, and of course, most importantly, the global external imbalances. Somehow things are going in the wrong way.
Yeah.
The relationship between China and the United States, the relationship between the Gulf oil exporting countries and the United States. You have on one part countries that save, on the other part countries that spend at the cost of borrowing from other countries, and the trend is not really so impressive, to be honest. That is my personal worry, really. The debt level of the global leaders.
Yeah. And do you think that the leaders that are here are starting to address that question in any way? I mean, are we hearing any kinds of sort of positive news about how we can start to restructure the world economy?
Well, there were some thoughts, I mean, all over, but I mean, it was interesting yesterday to listen to Barney Frank talking about the spending on defense. It doesn't make sense, really. There's so much spending on defense, and who ends up paying for that? It's the taxpayer. It doesn't make sense for the United States. I'm not being too political, but it doesn't make sense for the United States to go into Afghanistan or even Iraq and cost them so much money. That is bringing the debt level higher and higher. I mean, you can expect the emerging markets to have 80% debt to GDP, but not the United States or Europe. You can expect that from Greece or from Yemen.
Economists say that when debt becomes higher than 90% of GDP, it impacts very negatively on growth. So when it's less than 90%, you could have a situation where you could expect an economy to grow its way out of debt. But once it gets over 90%, it impacts on growth so badly that you have a real problem.
Absolutely, and it brings back. I mean, when you were talking about the IIF, I was one of the founding fathers of the IIF back in 1982, and the IIF was established as a result of the Latin American bubbles at that time. Not bubbles, but crashes. When Mexico defaulted, when Argentina defaulted, because they were borrowing like crazy, and the debt to GDP went over 100%. Will we have? I hope not. But
that was going to be my next question. So will we have sovereign debt defaults? I mean, the countries that seem most at risk seem at the moment not to be the major economies like the US, but the smaller economies in the EU like Greece and Ireland.
Greece and Spain and Ireland. It's we can somehow find ways to do that, especially if the EU works with Greece as to belt tightening and so on. But here we're talking about the US, and that worries me. That really worries me. And President Obama doesn't seem to be responding to these things, at least in the first few months, probably because he's reacting to populist pressures.
All right, and tell me a little bit about the views, how things are in the Middle East. I mean, the Gulf has had a fairly benign crisis. It had some difficulties, but generally the economies have proved to be in quite good shape, and the banking systems have been in quite good shape. I mean, how are you viewing things in 2010?
Well, you have to differentiate really between the oil exporting countries and the non-oil exporting countries. If we're talking about the oil exporting countries, things are in very good shape. Of course, we have had a small accident by the name of Dubai, but basically, Dubai again made the same mistake by overborrowing, like most of the countries we were talking about. But beyond that, really, things are in good shape as long as oil keeps flowing underneath your feet. It's things will be fine. No matter how much, even when oil price went down to 30, 35, we had surpluses in Kuwait and in Saudi Arabia. So and of course the demand for oil. I don't know if you have seen if you have attended the energy outlook session just now. There's so much demand, and they think that there is at least another the demand for another 20 million barrels for the next 2 decades. So and the price level seems to be stabilizing at this level. So in the Gulf oil exporting countries, things will be good. I mean, of course, provided we have good management throughout as far as fiscal and monetary policies. But things seems to be doing well. In the non-oil exporting countries, you have again to differentiate between North Africa and the Levant. The Levant countries, they would probably they'll have probably to work harder balancing their budgets, that's for sure, and they'll have to choose between alternatives as far as economic growth is concerned.
Now, at the National Bank of Kuwait, you've expanded quite a lot throughout the region, haven't
Yes,
you, in
yes.
different countries.
Yeah.
So, are we going to see more further expansion in 2010, or are you going to be consolidating that expansion?
Well, we will be consolidating at the big picture, but we only have one more expansion to do, which is in Syria. In Syria, we already have approval by the authorities there, and in Syria you have to establish a bank. You know, it's not branching really. You have to establish a bank de novo in Syria. So we're doing that. And the good thing now, and as you know, Syria is opening up now slowly. The good thing is we can get 60% ownership, which means we can have control. And this, we have been waiting for that for a long time, and I think the government in Syria did the right thing in that sense. Beyond that, we're expanding our Islamic banking franchise by, we acquired 40% of Bubiyan, we control Bubiyan, we manage Bubiyan, and we would like to buy more and control it better even. So in that sense, we have the horizontal expansion and the vertical expansion.
Okay.
But beyond that, I don't think we will after Syria, we'll consolidate most.